So good afternoon, everybody, YWCA viewers. This is Series 2, Episode 1 of the Butterfly Effect. This series is sponsored by Pursuit. My name is Laura Cozy, and I'll be your host for today. And I'm actually from Pursuit. So just a little bit about who we are and what we do. We are a company based in Albany that provides businesses with affordable loans and resources so that they can transform and grow. We're a community-focused lender. We're 100% invested in the success of our clients. So if you're a small business owner and you're looking for funding to start, grow, and recover from COVID-19, you can learn more about who we are and what we offer at www.pursuitlending.com. So the Butterfly Effect is a women's empowerment series where volunteer hosts like me interview inspiring women in our community like Katrin. So I'm pleased to introduce you to Katrin Zeman. Katrin is the owner and founder of Zeman Hospitality, the umbrella company, would you say, for some of the restaurants we know and love here in the Albany region, such as Crave, the Cuckoo's Nest, the Nest. Katrin got her start in hospitality by waiting tables and hosting at various restaurants, and really found a passion for making people happy through food and creating special moments for them. So Katrin, welcome to the Butterfly Effect. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know it's kind of a big, broad, open question, but who are you and what makes you tick?
Yeah, so I am local to the Albany area. I grew up in Schenectady, which is where the Nest is currently located. And I have lived here almost my whole life, except when I went away to college. And I'm really happy to be here and have our restaurants here in the area that I grew up in. I met my husband here. That's who actually we own the 3 restaurants together. We got our start together in 2015 with Crave was our first location.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to that, I went to SUNY Oneonta, where I got my degree in dietetics and food service management. So I definitely studied to be long-term in this field for sure. And I have a son, a 3-year-old, and we're having another baby in January.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Thank
So on
you.
top of everything, just launching a new restaurant in Schenectady, you're growing your family. So
Yeah.
always something new and different.
Yeah. We always joke we can never just do one thing at a time. When we were pregnant with Calvin, our son, we had just signed the lease for the cuckoo, or actually we purchased the Cuckoo's Nest, found out we were pregnant, and then bought a house like all in 3 months. Like we really can't just do one thing at a time.
Right. But that's a sign of any good entrepreneur, right? Being
Yeah.
able to multitask and kind of handle what life throws at you.
Yes. Yeah.
So I would love, and I'm sure our viewers would love to hear a little bit about your journey to entrepreneurship. There's a lot of young women out there that I'm sure are considering their own options for the future and just could be inspired by your story to owning 3 of the most popular restaurants here in the capital region.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's been crazy when we so I met, I guess I'll tell you a little bit about my history and what brought us even to Crave, because that's how it all started. I was working at a local restaurant, working actually on my master's for dietetics when I met Devin, my now husband, and he's a chef and he's been in culinary forever. Also started as a dishwasher and worked his way up, and was a chef for quite a while. So he was very confident in running a kitchen. So when we met and started dating, he was ready to kind of move into his own thing and open his own space. And he asked if I wanted to be a part of it. And at the time, I was 26 and I had only really waited tables. I did have my degree, of course, but it was more focused in dietetics. But I said, okay. And I have no idea why, but my parents supported it and our friends thought we were crazy. But we opened Crave, we signed the lease, opened Crave. We had only known each other a few months, honestly. We met in October and signed the lease in June. So less than a year, we even knew each other. We're dating since January, but I believed in him and he believed in me a lot. So that was a huge part of, I think, why we work so well together. We really trust each other to make decisions and be responsible for our own domains. He of course handles back of house and I'm really more in the front of house. So we started Crave, which was small scale. Probably when we first opened, like 7 other employees and myself and Devin, and we were working 6 days a week, like 80 hours a week, open to close. We didn't take time off. And that is when I talk to others about who have come to me and want to open restaurants, I kind of tell them that it's really the recipe for success. You have to be there. You can't, I don't recommend being hands off. You can do it. I just don't recommend being a hands off owner. If you want success, if you want your mission statement and your message to be portrayed the way you want it, you should be there. So we were there all the time, working like crazy for the first 2 years, and we saw growth and success. Of course, it didn't come without challenges or breaking points, or it kind of we both take turns like being the one about to jump off a ledge and talk each other down. But it's not easy, and people maybe think it looks fun and exciting, which it is, but it's very hard work. But we definitely had each other, thankfully. And I learned so much. I was so young when we first opened Crave. I was 26 and didn't have much managerial experience. So I definitely learned a lot the hard way. And it was helpful to actually have Devin as a source to help me with other things. Someone I could bounce ideas off of. He's older than I am, with more experience. But I learned a lot, and you have to move in grace and learn and continue to be better and do better. There's definitely things I don't do anymore that I did in the beginning. And I think that's a big part of success, is being able to see the faults in yourself and learn from mistakes. So the person I am now, Crave is 6 years old. So in 6 years, I don't even recognize that 26-year-old who opened Crave with what I've learned. And then we purchased the building for the Cuckoo's Nest, and that was a bigger establishment. So we went from managing, by the time we moved on to Cuckoo's Nest, I had probably 15 employees. So now I was in charge of probably 30 to 40 between the two. So that was new, managing that many people, keeping Crave working and running smoothly, while now opening a new restaurant, which is its own challenges. And I will say something important for anyone going into a business or opening is to be very open to change. None of my restaurants are who they were when we first opened our doors. They've all evolved and they've all changed, and that's just natural. So you have to be very open to that and not be stuck on, this is what I want and this is what it has to be, because that's how you become complacent almost. You need to be willing to adapt and see things and recognize where you're maybe wasting steps or wasting time, and continue to evolve. So that was Cuckoo's Nest. And then with the Nest, we signed the lease November before COVID started. So that November we signed the lease, and we actually had hoped to open that March of 2020. That's when it all started. Yeah. So I know. So obviously we didn't, because there was the mandated shutdown. It was March 16th, I believe, and we were hoping to open 2 weeks later. So we had it on pause, put all of our focus in Albany, which was, again, a decision we had to make. And that was not an easy one. And then the decision to move forward was not an easy one, but we decided to do it in September. We said, let's do it. Let's move forward. And then we opened that October 2020 in the middle of the pandemic, and somehow managed to get a full staff and fill the restaurant as much as we could. And now here we are at full capacity and just doing amazing. So it was not easy to get to where we are, but now we have 3 restaurants. They're all thriving. They're all doing well. And we are very grateful for that.
Yeah, you're not joking about the full capacity either. I've tried to get a reservation a couple of Saturday brunches and have been shut out, like many others, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But to talk about Pursuit's connection to your businesses a little bit, a lot of businesses have the challenge of not being able to get a loan when they first get up and running. So not only do you need to believe in yourself, but you need to find a loan provider that's going to believe in you too. Yeah. So what was that journey like, and what kind of helped you find out about Pursuit?
Oh gosh. So it was one of the biggest challenges we had to overcome when first looking to open Crave. We called so many places trying to get a loan, figuring out how to get our money. And we actually ended up talking to someone from the Albany Chamber of Commerce. And he got us connected with Steve Willard, who works for Pursuit still to this day. And I think of him very fondly because he took the time to meet with these young kids, Devin and myself, who literally had almost no equity. Honestly, we didn't have houses at the time. We had a car. And we luckily and thankfully have support from family who gave us enough of our own money to put into it to prove that we could be viable. We had business plans, which Devin took the time, and we had to actually go meet with someone that Pursuit wanted us to talk to show them our business plan. So there was a lot. I mean, we had a lot of work put into getting this loan, and the Pursuit loan was also contingent on another loan. So we had to convince two groups of people to believe in us. But we were always willing to do whatever it took to get there. And I think that the lenders saw that with what we brought to the table, what we said we would sacrifice in order to get this loan. And honestly, we signed the lease for Crave and we were open before that Pursuit loan came through. So we were like living on a prayer, like, please, this comes through. But Steve always was in our corner. I mean, he'd probably tell you I was the worst client of all time because he's always was hounding me down, like, please, I got to get this stuff and we're trying to get it together. But he really supported us. We definitely would not be where we are without Pursuit. There's no chance at all. Anytime, every ribbon cutting we've had, we always thank you. And I tell Steve all the time, like, there were certain people who got us to where we are. Tony Sabatino is our landlord at Crave, who took a chance on us when he had other people. Pursuit 100% in the Albany Chamber. We wouldn't be here without your support.
Well, we appreciate that so much. Again, just really honored and proud to be a part of your business's journey. So, you mentioned that you're a mom and, you're a woman working in the restaurant field. And I think, I love seeing that because when you, looked at shows like Chopped and all of the famous chefs that are running restaurants that are super well known, they're all men. So what's it like to be a woman in your industry? And, how does your identity as a woman play into that?
So it's definitely interesting. It's better now because I think people know me a little bit more than it was with Crave and Cuckoo's Nest. But even still, I will say there's definitely still a double standard for women and men. The amount of salespeople who come through the door or companies looking to sell something or want to talk about something immediately ask for Devin. They never ask to talk to me. Sometimes I'm looking at them like, Devin doesn't do any of these things. He doesn't have a hand in this. This is what I handle. So you're wasting your breath. Like, he's not going to meet with you anyways. He's
Right.
doing his own thing. So if you want to talk to someone, you should talk to me. And like, honestly, like I said, it's definitely better now. With people knowing like that I'm the one that they deal with, but I can always tell when they haven't even done their research on the company when they come in and ask for Devin.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just always a red flag to me. If someone comes in, they don't know my business, they don't know who I am and who our business is, what I do, what Devin does.
Mm-hmm.
So I see that all the time, that double standard for sure. But I honestly think that being a woman in my position, what I do with the company, being involved with all the hiring and guest relations, and I'm very hands-on. All my staff know me. Nobody doesn't know who I am. I'm very present. I'm in all my businesses. And I think that has done nothing but create such a bond for our team. Not to say like, oh, it's a woman's touch, but I really believe in that. I'm a very in touch with my emotions. I'm a Cancer, so my staff always makes fun of me for that because I'm so emotional. But they know me and I know them, and I take the time to know my staff. Like, I know their personal life. I know when they need a break. I know they're comfortable coming to me if they're having an off day and they need something, and we really care about their mental health and their personal life. We've helped employees through things. And I think that is why, I mean, we have employees who have worked with us since we opened Crave. They've been there 6 years. I have employees who've worked at Cuckoo's Nest since we've opened 4 years this November, and the same at the Nest. And the amount of people who bring others in, they recommend others, and they stay with us and help us through, worked for us through the pandemic. We stayed open. We did not close Cuckoo's Nest or Crave. We kept everyone employed. We barely laid anyone off. And they appreciate that, and they know what we put into keeping our doors open, and they respect us and we respect them. And I really think that that has to do with who I am as a person, as a woman, as a mother, very nurturing. Like, I want to take care of my team, and they know that. And I really think that's why we have the loyalty we do and the great staff we do. I mean, we have the best staff ever.
Yeah, and that's so important right now with all of the struggles
Yeah.
businesses are going through to hire and retain staff. And yeah, it's super interesting hearing that perspective. Just having eaten at your restaurants, a few times, that touch definitely comes through. I mean, our family style chicken and waffle packages were some of our, like, my husband and my favorite moments of the pandemic. It just felt like this warm hug that we're picking up, at your location and bringing home. So
Yes.
that hospitality definitely comes through. But I'm curious, what are some of your strategies for dealing with those moments where somebody might not be giving you respect in your industry because of your gender, like, and I know that's changed for you now because people know who you are, but how did you handle that early on?
Um, we Honestly, I feel like I just would say, like, either you're looking to talk to the wrong person, and Devin doesn't handle that, and I do, or there were other people that we just don't work with anymore,
Right.
who was just so disrespectful to me and would only talk to Devin, and I just didn't even like the way he would talk about women, and we don't work with those companies anymore.
Right. So just kind of putting your money where your mouth is and taking your business
Yeah.
elsewhere. Good for
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
That's amazing.
exactly. We're in a position where we can be a little bit pickier about who we're working with. People want to work with us. People come to us like, we want you to use our business. So
Mhm.
I think we're in a place now where we're able to be definitely pickier of who we're working with for sure.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned earlier that, the 26-year-old who launched Crave, like, you're a completely different woman now. So if
Yeah.
you could turn back to your 26-year-old self or your 21-year-old self, what would you tell her? What would you want her to know?
So definitely I would say to be less reactive. I think being who I am, an emotional person, it's very easy to be reactive to situations, whether it's something maybe an employee's complaining about or has an issue with, or disgruntled employees or disgruntled guests, and being able to give yourself a moment to look at this objectively and don't be reactive. Don't let your emotions get involved. That is something, I don't think all women are as emotional as me, maybe, but I think that we are more in tune with our emotions, and it's easy to want to people please everyone, or immediately hear one complaint about something from a guest and you're going to change your whole business plan because of it, because one person said they didn't like this about it, and you're like, okay, so maybe we should totally change everything. And that's being reactive, and that's easy to do because you want everyone to be happy. So when you hear something negative, your immediate response is, how can I fix this right away? But give yourself some time. And also, I think one of the biggest things was to set boundaries in my life sooner than I did. And to elaborate on that, like, I really think now more than ever, like, time is money. Like, not just even figuratively money, but time is valuable. My time is so valuable to me with 3 businesses, a husband, a toddler, a baby on the way, our families, myself. I have to cram all of those things into a 24-hour day when you're sleeping for half of that is very difficult. So being able to set boundaries where you're not wasting time on certain situations, being able to walk away from people and conversations that no longer benefit you, or are things that are in your corner, or what's going to be best for you, is huge. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say since we opened Crave, I've lost some friendships. I wouldn't call them friends anymore, but that kind of stuff, like those people make it clear who's on your team and who's not. When we opened Crave, like I said, we worked 80-hour weeks for 2 years straight almost. And there's friends who understood and friends who didn't. And there's people who understand and who don't. And even business wise, people in your life who are supposed to be supporting your business, but are questioning everything you do or putting you down or aren't being respectful of you. You just have to set boundaries, and also emotional ones. When I was younger, when we opened Crave, I became too good of friends with some employees, and I won't make that mistake again. And that is something that young entrepreneurs have to be very careful of, is setting those boundaries. Like, you are their boss and not their friend, and you have to be smart about that. I mean, I'm still young. I'm not that old. So I'm young enough that a lot of my employees, some of my employees are older than I am. Some are my age and some are younger, but I don't cross those lines ever anymore. I'm friends with them, friendly, but they all respect me. And I've learned that. Definitely that was one of the hard lessons I learned, but setting boundaries, I would say, is huge.
Yeah, that's such a great piece of mentorship advice. Who is one person who maybe mentored you a little bit or gave you a really great piece of advice that you're now building into your life and the way you approach your business?
So there's definitely two women who come to mind. One is, her name is Nikki, and she was my boss. I worked a desk job for a few years, which I will never work another desk job. That was not for me, but I loved the people I worked with a lot. I respected them. I respect the business. But this boss I had, her name was Nikki, and she was just one of the most supportive people I've ever met. She believed in me, and she always had this life motto. I think about it all the time. She always says, life is what you make it. And it's like such a simple sentence, but when you really think about it and you think about, okay, am I going to, if I want this loan from Pursuit, like I have to get it. I have to do the work. I have to put my time in and get this done. And if I want to be able to go on vacation once a year, I need to like save my money and put my money away for that. And if I want to do this, or like just any little thing that you want in your life, you have to make it happen. There is no one that's going to. And you see siblings who, same upbringing, same childhood, same traumas, anything you could find to make as an excuse for what's going on in your life. And one sibling, life is what they made it, and they worked so hard and got these things. And you see another who could blame the world for why they aren't successful. And that's just, I think, what you can look at as what's going to inspire you and motivate you. Like, you cannot blame the world for for where you are. To an extent, there's some things that I've seen horrible things happen to people that are completely out of their control. But I just always think about, like, life is what you make it. Are you going to be positive about this? Are you going to see the success for yourself? And are you going to go and get it? Like, don't let someone say no to you. Find someone who'll say yes. And that's like how we, Pursue said yes to us when 5 other lenders said no. And that's why we're here, because we didn't stop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great advice for everybody to remember, kind of form your own destiny in a way.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? I mean, you're having a second baby. That's going to be a whole new world. You'll have as many children as you have hands very shortly. But what's beyond that? What's next for you in your restaurants and you as a person?
Yeah. So, like I said, we can't never just do one thing at a time. So, we are having another baby, but we're already in the works to possibly open a second, and maybe not second. So, I guess this will be our fourth and maybe fifth restaurant within the next 5 years. That's like our game plan, to have 2 more in the next 5 years open. Devin is just full of ideas, and always creative. And he's like, let's do it now. It's what we're passionate about. Our careers, as difficult as they are, they bring us so much joy. I love what I do. Making people's special days more special is very rewarding to me. It's definitely important as a boss to find out what makes people succeed. Like, some people are sales driven, some are not. Some are more driven by emotional satisfaction. And I 100% love helping someone celebrate a birthday or an anniversary, or it's their last night in town, or whatever it is. Those are such special moments. So being able to continue to grow and expand our brand and bring more of that is just what is exciting and fulfilling to us. So that's what's next.
That's huge, and that's so exciting. And thank you for previewing that news with us here. I can't wait to see, what you guys do and where you open. I'm pulling for Troy. Troy.
We'll see.
Okay. Well, thank you, Katrin, so much for joining us today. It was so fun talking with you and just learning more about you. I know more about your businesses than I did about you as a person before being able to have this conversation with you. So thank you so very much. And to everybody watching today, thank you for joining us today. Definitely check back with us every Tuesday and Thursday at noon. 12:30, I think, for different hosts and different guests. There's a lot of great things coming up for the butterfly effect this season. So thank you to the YWCA for hosting us both today, and I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks again.
Yes, thank you.